What's going on, guys? Evan the Xenogears Enthusiast here, bringing you another gameplay commentary for the Xbox 360 version of Dark Souls. This will be part 5 in my Elly commentary installments, where I sort of highlight and discuss the major developments in this character's life, from Soul Level 2 all the way up to Soul Level 125, where I intend to max out and maybe do some PvP. Speaking of PvP, I actually got invaded today. I spent a lot of time, more time than I should have, farming in the depths, and while I was farming in the depths, I got invaded a couple times. My homeward bone alerted me that I was being invaded, so I decided to stay in and fight a couple PvPs. I got invaded twice while I was farming green tanzanite to make a divine weapon. Because this is a faith-based character, Elly will be using a lot of faith-based miracles and weapons, so she needed a divine weapon. I decided on the Estoc because I like its critical multiplier, its critical damage multiplier, and because I just think it looks cool and it's pretty classy, and I want my character to use classy stuff, because that's just how I roll in RPG games. I seem to have issues with appearances. In real life, I'm kind of the kind of guy that, in real life, because this is fake, I'm kind of the guy that doesn't comb his hair a whole lot. I'm just not real worried about that whole kind of thing. I don't particularly dress nicely. To say I dress like a schlemiel, but whatever. The point is, I think you guys get what I'm saying. And I don't say like a badge of honor, I'm not trying to say like, wow, I'm above all that. Like, nah, I'm not above it. How people try to portray themselves. Some people try to say like, I'm above all that. I'm above what people think of me. No one's really completely above it. I mean, some people are more susceptible to those concerns than others, and some people care a little less. But I've never met anyone who could convince me that they're completely beyond the opinions of others. Not only that, but completely beyond concerns about appearances, I'm human, I suffer from all those things too. I think what I mean is I'm oblivious. Like, it's not that I don't care about those things, it's that I don't necessarily realize the damage I'm doing to myself. Or, the self-marketing I might be doing for myself. Either way, I don't know what I'm doing, good or bad. I just never know what's going on. That's kind of my problem. Just don't like what's happening. Situational awareness, extremely low. Much better in Call of Duty than it is here. Call of Duty, I'm pretty good about knowing what's going on in the map, and here I'm pretty good about knowing what's like when I'm being invaded and stuff like that. I'm just better at video games than much of anything else, and that's cool. I'm all about gaming. But getting back to the gameplay commentary here, getting off my random tirade about life. I like that roll. Invincibility frames for the win. Kind of trying to. Oh God, he ate me. The little int guy ate me. I'm trying to... What am I trying to do? I am trying to... Sorry, my actual gameplay is way ahead of the commentary, so sometimes I get a little disjointed about where I am and stuff like that, but, it's back with me now. This is where I go to get the Divine Ember, which is in the Darkroot Garden. Yeah, it's in the Darkroot Garden past the Moonlight Butterfly boss, and once you get the Crest Shield and the Undead Asylum, it's like a free win, and you'll see that when I actually get to the boss fight. It's no big at all. I think this is probably the easiest boss in the game. Oh, he knocked my item away. Yeah, it's not valuable at all, but still, he knocked my item away. Tragic. So I'm going to try to grind. I'm going to hit the bonfire here because that was a pretty lackluster run, so I want to heal up and maybe go back through, do a little better. Sometimes you just take a mulligan on a run, a mulligan through some progress, and I think I can fight through these int guys again, no big, no big. Kind of wish I had a fire weapon or just a general better weapon. Store Straight Sword at this point in Elly's life is starting to slow down, which is actually why I decided it's time to go get a Divine Ember so I can go get my rapier going, because, don't get me wrong, this is a great weapon early game. It carries itself pretty well, but once you start to get past the Copper Demon, it just kind of loses its luster, and since this area is, for most players, takes place after Copper Demon, it's just really slowing down. A Drake Sword would be much better here, like I said in a previous commentary, but we're past that, so I'm not going to have a Drake Sword. Oh, he eats me. And I deserve that. Complete fail. That is the result of being greedy. I saw that I was getting like triple hacks, and I was like, well, I'll just cut all these guys down, and then the one ate me and made me look stupid. I don't know if he had poise or something. Oh no, it didn't work out, so we'll just move on. Go get my blood stain and start over. Yeah, this game kind of has that two-strike system. Die once, get your stain, no biggie. Die twice without the stain. Ugh, kind of ugly, I've got a lot of humanity in the bank there at 9, which this early in the game, I think 9 humanity is pretty significant. I need that for revivals and stuff like that. I need it to level up covenants primarily. This is all part of a... This character isn't really about completing the story. I mean, you know, Elly's going to go take out Gwen, you know, and Gwen, Lord of Cinder, and get into New Game Plus so I can get some extra miracles and things, but there's really no point progressing in, like, I guess, a natural order. Like, it's more about acquiring the kind of gear she needs, so this isn't like a walkthrough series of videos, this is just her developmental cycle, so you'll see Elly going to places like, you know, you might be watching like, why the hell is he going there, as opposed to going, you know, a much easier area where he could get, you know, better souls, you know, etc., easier souls. Yeah, she's just about getting geared. Like, that's why we're in the Darkroot Garden relatively early, or at least relatively early to be going after Embers. We just we need a divine weapon so I can replace this Astora Straight Sword. And plus, it's all part of the grand plan. Once you ring the first Bell of Awakening, the Rhea Thornmold, or Thornhold, I don't know how it's pronounced, but the cleric chick, the high-ranking cleric girl that Petrius or whatever, the starting miracle vendor, his girl, not that they're together, but I'm having a really hard time describing this girl. Anyway, the point is, she'll be in the videos later. She will show up after you ring the first Bell of Awakening. Once you zone out and kind of play around somewhere else for a little bit, she'll show up, and then she'll head to the catacombs. I need her to go into the catacombs, that way I can complete her quest line. Now, everyone check this out. These giant guys here, they're not a big deal. They're really slow, but Tranquil Walk of Peace, which they're actually casting off their blade, because if they drop that blade, you can cast Tranquil Walk of Peace off it. This was, like, the most annoying thing in player versus player ever. Even if you're not, like, a PvP character, when people invaded you and used this, it was so annoying. That slow walk speed, people can cast that too. The spell's called Tranquil Walk of Peace. And, like, before it got patched, it had a much larger radius. When someone put that under you, you're just dead. Like, you'd never get away. You can see on some of, like, the more accomplished PvPers on YouTube if you're interested in checking it out, but it's pretty much like instant cheese, you lose, thanks for playing kind of thing. It's really bothersome. But they patch it, so it's not a big deal now, not at all. But I just thought I'd share and elaborate on what was going on there, you know, why in fact I'm moving so slow and just can't get anything done. Oof! Stupid camera angle. Not paying attention to what's going on. I'm pretty relaxed in this commentary, guys. I just spent a couple hours farming and getting invaded and stuff like that, so I'm pretty much relaxed and glad to be commentating this. Not as much to talk about in the actual gameplay. Really, we're just trying to grind through to get the Divine Ember and to take out the Moonlight Butterfly so I can make the shield out of its soul eventually. But you know, actually what is significant right now is that this is all part of a master plan, because Elly's not going through the game, you know, as a completionist. She's going through with specific objectives in mind. So getting access to divine weapons is a fundamental and it's a necessity. It cannot be ignored. But it also is going to open other avenues towards us, because the catacombs is where the cleric vendor I mentioned earlier, the miracle vendor, the high-level miracle vendor I just previously mentioned, and just repeated myself 9 or 10 times over, once she's in the catacombs, if you complete her storyline down there, she'll come out of the catacombs. And to get through you have to get through the catacombs to get to her and complete her story. And the catacombs have regenerating skeletons. For those who haven't been there before, it's basically like the skeletons in the starting area, only they constantly regenerate over and over and over, because there's necromancers that bring them back. Now, if you kill the necromancer, the problem corrects itself. But unfortunately, normally the necromancer's pretty far back, actually. Like, he's not like right around the corner from the skeletons. He could be a fair distance away. And the skeletons, you know, if you don't have the right weapons, they can take a beating. And since Elly won't have an elemental weapon to sort of carry her through there, and the Drake Sword is pretty slow by that point too, and a Astora Straight Sword will be ungodly weak at that point. You're pretty much you're in for the long haul. But by getting through the Darkroot Garden here, I can get a Divine Ember, and Divine Weapons actually kill the skeletons permanently because they're holy. You know, so little, I guess, role-playing mechanic there. But Divine Weapons to seal the undead, pretty nifty. That was the big reason I decided to come here and grab this, because I could have just gone and went like a +10. Gotten the large Ember, which I'll show in my next commentary, grab the large Ember and just make like a +10 weapon, and that might actually do more damage than my Divine Weapon right now. Or my Divine Weapon I'll make with this Ember, because I won't be leveling up my faith for probably a while, because I prioritize endurance and, vitality over those early game, because I'm not really concerned about my damage so much as concerned about staying alive, because I can always retreat and try again if it's a damage issue. I'm not racing. This isn't an MMO where there's a clock on the fight. Not a big MMO fan, just throw that out there. I've tried a couple different MMOs. I've tried World of Warcraft, I've tried Final Fantasy Online or whatever, 13, 12. Which one was it? I think it was 11? Yeah, Final Fantasy 11. Anyway, Final Fantasy Online, didn't like that either. Didn't like EVE Online. Never owned that one, or never really had my own account, but I watched other people play it. Looks super dull. So I guess I'm more of just a single-player RPG guy now and forever. That's why I really like the Dark Souls style, where you just sprinkle in a little bit of multiplayer, but not a whole lot. Also, when I was here previously, you saw me grab a set of armor. That's the Elite Knight armor. That set's great. It pretty much phases out Baldur's set for most players, unless you have a very specific character build, and it'll phase it out for me eventually. But I was still happy to have Baldur's for the length of time that I did, and I was happy to farm my Baldur's straight sword and all that stuff. Elly might not have the stats to actually wield some of these, but that's alright. I'm not too worried about it. So right now I'm just making sure I didn't miss any enemies here, miss any items or enemies. I like to clear the zones before I move on, and of course I missed this guy. He's immediately going to start off with Tranquil Walk of Peace, because he's a boss like that, and he just wants me to move really slow and be useless and all that good stuff. Just glad this isn't a big problem in PvP anymore. You're also going to see me sort of run around like a fool here in a little bit. I recall thinking that there was an invisible wall here, but I actually don't think there is. But at the time I thought there was, so I spent a little bit of time wasting away running in circles, and it doesn't take that long, so I figured I'd just leave it in the video. You also see I'm holding a lot of souls in my inventory. I'm trying to fully upgrade the Pyromancer's Flame at this time in the character's development cycle, because pyromancies are fantastic. They're available to all characters, and despite popular belief, the only way to increase the damage is actually just to upgrade the glove. Increasing stats won't increase pyromancy damage at all. If you want scaling magical attacks, you should probably invest in intelligence and use intelligence spells such as Soul Missile and Crystal Soul Mass and stuff like that. Which will be my next character playthrough after Elly. I'm going to do a non-PvP completionist, where I'm going to try to really challenge myself with the single player by doing a live commentary. That's going to be probably the first live commentary I ever do on this channel. It's going to be a live commentary grind where I try to beat through the entire game without ever equipping a shield. Or if I do equip a shield, it's utility only, no blocking, just rolling. Because I find that I crunch on my shield a lot. I know when to roll and when to block. I've kind of got the grasp of that, but, Anyway, here's the Moonlight Butterfly boss fight, and while IGN and every other commentator who does Dark Souls has a strategy video out for pretty much all the bosses, I'll go ahead and do my own. Step 1, have a better weapon than I do now. Have any weapon that beats hard. I don't have anything I can equip that actually does a lot of damage to her, and if you're melee, you have very limited opportunities to actually attack this thing. I think this is a really creative and cool looking boss. The backstory is it's a creature created by Seath the Scaleless, and it sort of, I don't want to say haunts, but hangs out in the Darkroot Garden. It casts powerful spells, just like Seath. I think it's similar to his spells, actually. Step 2 is block like I did with the Crest Shield, which has 100% magic block. Or I don't think it's 100, but it's a really high percent, 85 plus. As you can see, this isn't really even hurting me, and I'm completely unprepared for this fight. So it just goes to show you, oof! And this is sort of true, and you can dodge these attacks by rolling or running from one side to the other. But it's really not worth it. This is Dark Souls, don't complicate it, just take the simple route, don't heal at stupid times, like I am. Don't try to dodge this stuff, because some of this stuff can actually be pretty hard to dodge, but it's really easy to block. And, since I'm melee, I can't really do much to her for a while. If you're a ranged character, this is much easier, because you can blast her the whole time. I think it's a she. I assume the Crystal Butterfly is a she. Point is, you can actually blast it with plenty of spells when it's hovering around out there. It's no big deal. It's actually really effective. So once it lands, it's completely defenseless. Right now, the Moonlight Butterfly cannot hurt you. So blow your entire stamina bar. I wouldn't let it fill up all the way like I am. I wouldn't let it fill up at all, because she'll eventually do this, which is basically like Force Wave. It's kind of like a Wrath of Gods variant there with a green pigment. That blasts me on my butt. She gets up. It gets up. Yeah, so you can dodge the Crystal Soul Mass there. It's pretty much, it's a green Crystal Soul Mass is what I draw out of that spell. So you can dodge that. This is probably the most one-dimensional easy fight in the game. There's a lot of easy bosses once you get the hang of it, but this one might be the easiest. She has some really cool attacks, and it's a really cool boss. You know, it's one of my favorites. It doesn't have to be challenging to be cool. Of course, then again, Ornstein and Smaug are my favorite bosses, and they're probably the most challenging fight in the game, so I guess I'll just contradict myself. Roll too early and you take a big beating there. Probably better just to block. I guess I'm probably trying to dodge stuff just to show off to you guys a little bit, because I have gone through this fight like dodging before, but it's easier just to block. In any case, if for whatever reason you're stuck, and I don't, 1 out of every 30 people might get stuck, I don't know the statistics, but it's certainly not going to be one of those fights that, you know, leaves people reeling with the difficulty. But you can actually summon Witch Beatrice out there, and she just blows this fight out of the water. She is this magic caster, and she'll probably end the fight before you even hit the butterfly, assuming you are melee, because she just has really, really powerful magic. And I don't always summon the NPCs. I think if it's gonna like, I feel like this video would be kind of ruined if I summoned her, just because it'd be like, wow, what did you do? Well, nothing. But watching this in retrospect, all I'm really doing right now is blocking, so maybe more exciting when I do my no block character. I actually have to dodge all that stuff. Who knows? Oof, oof. Getting sort of handled there, not paying attention. Yeah, this is a little all over the place on this commentary. This is a slower moment in the character cycle where I'm just kind of grinding for things that I need. I got some topics I want to talk about too, not in this commentary, but maybe in the next one, about character builds and things to consider and stuff like that. Isn't that butterfly pretty? I think she's pretty. And I like the equipment you make out of her soul. I'll showcase that once I can get it. You cannot forge the items that are crafted out of the Moonlight Butterfly soul until you reach Anor Londo. So they're not that great. It actually allows you to make the Crystal Ring Shield, which is a magical shield that casts spells, which is cool and all. And actually, how it used to work is it had damage that scaled with your weapon in your other hand. So if you have a shield in one hand, it's going to get plus damage from the weapon in your other hand. And you could get some really ridiculous character builds out of that, where you just take like the highest damage weapon you can, stick the Crystal Ring Shield on the other, and just one-shot other players and bosses. It really did trivialize the entire game. It was pretty sad. But they patched it, you know, because software actually patched this game in a lot of ways that made a lot of sense. And when they patched it, they made it do a set damage of 200, which was pretty cool. Really great to see that. I got a little tired of getting one-shotted whenever somebody invaded me with the Crystal Ring Shield, and I also got tired of getting Tranquil Walked. You know, I can't thank software enough. Almost every problem I have with this game in PvE or PvP has actually been corrected for the most part. I have a couple gripes here and there, but they're mostly personal taste, and that's fine. If there's anything I can complain about or rant about, I would like to see the Eagle Shield get nerfed a little bit. It's not necessarily overpowered so much as it's just a little ridiculous. Like, I feel like the Eagle Shield is just grossly superior to all the other great shields, because you need like no endurance or strength to carry it compared to every other great shield. But the great shields don't give you the option to parry, and pretty much any player that's been playing these games a while and can land parries will want to parry, because it's the quickest way to dispatch so many bosses and other players, and just random enemies too. And then I have to wait through one more cycle of spells because I didn't quite get it done there. This fight is so quick if you have like a high-powered weapon. I'm not sure. I think the Moonlight Butterfly may be resistant to like faith damage. Maybe not. That might just be in my mind. Either way, this sword is just not doing the kind of damage you want in a boss fight. Like, I would accept this damage on like the Gaping Dragon, where like the thing has so much health anyway, it's not a big deal. Now that move is cool. It shoots a big blue blob at you. The blob itself won't actually hurt your character, but the explosion afterwards, yeah, that hurts. Yeah. The beam you can roll under if you feel so inclined, but just block. It does like no damage if you block. I don't know what she's shooting at there. Not me, clearly. The Soul Mass again. I like that a lot of the spells and items the bosses have or use you can actually use if you get the right equipment or the right stats or the right miracles or the right intelligence spells. That's neat. I've always been a big fan of having the option to use the stuff that's being used against me, against the engine or other players. I was reading online that apparently Dragon Slayer Ornstein Spear is actually really good now. Most of you may not be familiar with that, but it's the spear off my favorite boss in the game, and rumor has it it's pretty good. His armor still sucks, but his spear's pretty cool. So maybe we'll be making an Ornstein role-player character, and we'll just go get trounced in PvP with people using, the good stuff. Who knows? Anyway, we're finally about at the end of the video, and I'll show you. After you blast this boss, it pretty much takes you directly to the Divine Ember, which is cool. And it gives you access to the Watchtower basement, but that's not particularly exciting because I had a Master Key, so I could get there already. But for those of you that don't have a Master Key, this is how you access the Watchtower basement, where you will find Havel, I believe. I think that's the same key, I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to go ahead and uprate that so some guy can get his humanity. Every time you uprate a message, you actually give them humanity. I don't think a lot of people realize that, so if someone says, like, need humanity, it's really a good thing to rate it up, because they wouldn't write it unless they actually needed it. If everyone just rated the messages all the time, everyone would have all the humanity they need, which is one of the more annoying resources to stock and preserve. But anyway, here's the Divine Ember and the Watchtower basement key. This used to be a Divine Blacksmith, according to the other blacksmith, but he got killed. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'm going to go ahead and just jump off this to end the video with style. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see everyone next time in part 6, those of you who are still interested.